Are you obsessed about money? For many people, going through a modern society life, this is a fact. You cannot avoid money. Currency is the thing that drives our society. If you have a job, money is exchanged somewhere for you to work and keep that job. Do you have a car or do you want a car? You have to have money for gas and you have to have money for insurance on the vehicle. Food, water, shelter, everything in the modern era is circled around money. But there are some people, and you may or may not think of yourself as this, where every aspect of their life revolves around money. This is earning it, spending it, and saving it. For the most part, having good money habits is a positive thing towards your life. But you don't want to worry about where your next paycheck is coming from, or whether you have enough cash to pay for something like food and water, or anything like that. But it can go both ways, or you can spend money like crazy. Both of these things are two sides of the same coin. You are obsessed with money. And you might think to yourself, that's not that bad. That means you're good with money. Not necessarily. It could be damaging for yourself, for your loved ones, and the people around you. The warning signs about people who are obsessed with money are your entire world, your entire life. You wake up thinking about money. You go to bed thinking about money. This is not just the concept of money. This is where you get fear and anxiety over where your next paycheck is coming from, or how are you going to feed your children. And there are people who have this, but and we'll really dive into this, but when your day and your life focuses around this, that is money obsession. Even if spending money, it's like, how much money can I spend? Or I need this big flashy thing, and because this will get me more money. That is money obsession. And it's very, very dangerous. So some of the warning signs, and you might have some of these: haggling over small expenses. Unless you're really struggling to make ends meet, you probably aren't trying to save every last penny. When comparing prices, are you going to try to save 5 or 10 cents when you don't have to? There's a big thing. While these savings can add up, obsessing about them all the time will lead to unnecessary anxiety and worry. If you find yourself doing this, even with the smallest amount, or regretting that purchase later, even if it's a necessity, you might be obsessed with money. You really might. Denying basic essentials. No matter what, we are all human, which means we have needs, and these are basic essentials. Toiletries, if you live in a modern society, food, shelter. These are all critical to survive in the modern era. And they all cost money. And most people, that's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm going to grab some water. I have food. Money is something that you can always get back. We'll cover that in a little bit. While you shouldn't be wasting cash on frivolous expenses, you should also pay attention if you're foregoing certain items because of the cost. Where you can really tell if you're money obsessed, if you're avoiding to pay basic necessities even though you can afford it. I want to repeat this. If you are money obsessed, you are going to try to avoid paying for basic necessities even though you could afford it. Skipping meals, or trying to save small items like toothbrushes and toothpaste and floss. If you reuse floss, and you think in your head that's disgusting, but people do. People do this, and it's at the end, the expenses don't have to be that small. For many people, foregoing health insurance to a way to cut down on monthly costs. After all, if you are relatively healthy, Why pay for something you're not using? Which is, fine. If you are like, maybe I can get another day on this toothbrush, go ahead and do so. If the meat in your fridge, it's maybe been in there a little bit longer, but it doesn't smell off or a different color or anything like that, it might be okay if you know your proteins. But unfortunately, you never know what the future holds. One trip to the emergency room can set you back hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it does happen, especially here in America. If you're an international person, this may not be applicable to you, but it does happen. It seems like a smart move for right now, but you're trading short-term benefits for long-term loss. Once again, it may seem like a smart move to not pay for health insurance, especially here in the United States, but it's short-term benefits for long-term loss. Avoiding social interactions. Now, this is when loneliness comes into play, because both of those two top ones are all about anxiety. And, obviously anxiety can be there. Avoiding social interactions. Obviously, throwing around a few $100 to go partying every weekend is financially irresponsible. And we'll cover this when the solutions happen. However, going out to eat or to the movies with friends or a partner is a great way to have fun and relax. And, we're in the COVID era, and some people may not have this benefit. But when you really look back at it, you will be envious of this. I went through the same thing. I had anxiety and depression, and it really sucked when things were locked down fully. But luckily here in Las Vegas, it's open, and there are restaurants that are open, and you cannot take it for granted. Again, the real danger is when you aren't avoiding these social situations because you're flat broke. It's just because you can't bear to part with a few dollars. If you can afford dinner and a movie, but still choose to stay home, that might be a sign of an obsession. Now, other factors may play into this, but if the reasoning is if you're invited out with some friends and you want to see them, but it's something that costs money and you forego that's when it becomes an issue. If you're with a partner and you're like, let's see a movie, and maybe both of you say, let's stay home and, order pizza or whatever, that's fine. Once again, you're still spending money to enjoy yourselves, but it doesn't have to be. The reasoning for it is different other than monetary value. Now, this one's a big one. Saving as a goal, not a process. As a general rule, saving money regularly is a good habit to have. However, you need it to have a reason for it. While this reason doesn't have to be specific, i.e. trying to buy a new car, it shouldn't have some kind of endpoint. Here's an example. If you're saving for retirement, you should be able to determine the minimum balance necessary to be stable when you stop working. Or if you're saving for a rainy day fund, you should have a targeted goal to reach. But when it's a process, that's when it becomes an issue. Overall, having these financial objectives can help you stay on track and enable you to reward yourself from time to time. Once again, spending money. If you're trying to save $500 per month to reach your goal early, you can afford to go out, with some of the excess money, and that's fine. There's no problems with this. If, on the other hand, saving is the objective, and you don't have a specific amount in mind, that's obsession. Like a dragon hoarding gold and that it never plans to spend. This is money obsession. You need to have a goal, and maybe we'll do that later. Replacing cheap items regularly. This one is big. In another old saying, you get what you pay for. For the money obsessed, the quality of a particular product is not as critical as the price. In most situations, a cheaper alternative is seen as a better value, even if it doesn't last as long. If you find yourself having to replace these products regularly because they keep breaking or wearing down, it is far better to upgrade to a higher quality version of that product, even though short term it costs more. That is money obsession, but once again, you're thinking about the immediate price. Even if you can afford the more expensive version, the immediate price is the most important thing. That is very dangerous in many of ways, and we'll talk about that at the end. Types of money disorders. So here is where we will categorize different money disorders based on the habits of your spending. Money aversion. The concept of having or spending money is too painful, so you try to avoid it as much as possible. Rather than facing your financial troubles or bills, you ignore them and it starts to take over your life. In most cases, money aversion comes from having too much debt or high bills without enough cash to cover it. Looking at your credit card bill causes too much anxiety, and you don't want to look at it at all. Another form of money aversion can be when you feel bad about having or earning money. In these instances, you believe that money itself creates negative energy, so you don't want anything to do with it. Often, those with low self-esteem can suffer from these disorders as they believe that they are not worthy enough to have excess money. Money worship. On the opposite end of the spectrum to money aversion, we have individuals who love money more than anything else. In many cases, these people want to accumulate as much wealth as possible with no end in sight. Additionally, those who worship money may be willing to go to great lengths, including exploiting themselves or others to obtain even more cash. Another form of money worship can be excessive spending. The thrill of buying flashy or high-end products becomes addictive, so you obsess over getting more money to maintain the buyer's high. Finally, obsessive gambling is a sign of money worship. The rush of winning a big or small payout is so intoxicating that you will continue to gamble to feel it over and over again, even when your losses far outweigh your winnings. The excitement of gambling is too much to allow you to stop. Relational spending. With this disorder, the money itself is not as important as the relationship you have with others. For example, giving money to family members, even if you can't afford to do so, you feel compelled to offer cash for whatever reason, like guilt. So you put yourself in a bad financial situation as a result. Another example of relational spending can be lying to a spouse or a family member about your money habits. The driving factor could be the thrill of getting caught, or it could be a symptom of a toxic relationship where money affects how you interact with each other. Finally, financial dependence can be a sign of relational spending and money obsession. Valuing your relationship to another person based on money that he or she can provide for you is a dangerous path that can lead to arguments, lies, and emotional abuse. Now, here are specific dangers of money obsession. It can be harmful to your health. If you're avoiding going to the doctors because you don't want to pay for medicine or a canopy, you can get sicker and sicker. Even you'll have to go no matter what, and by that time it might be too late. Beyond the typical aversion to hospitals and clinics for other reasons, money obsession can cause you to buy cheaper products and food, which can lead to poorer health. If you're only eating the most inexpensive meals possible, chances are that you are facing a variety of problems, including diabetes, high blood pressure, and obesity. Now, eating these out of necessity because you can't afford others is a entirely different problem. But when you can afford going to, as an example, Buffalo Wild Wings compared to McDonald's, you're going to have an issue. Or if you have enough money to purchase that salad, but you go to McDonald's anyway because of money, you have a money problem. Harmful to your relationship. For most people, money can be a relatively touchy subject. Discussions about how much someone makes and what they spend it on are usually off limits. For the money obsessed, however, many conversations can be about money, which leads to strained relationships. As we discussed before, the money obsession is directly correlated to a particular person or a significant other. You can be ruining your relationship by lying about money or withholding funds for personal reasons. Additional stresses. We talked about anxiety. We talked about the worry that, honestly, it may not even be entirely necessary and it's killing you. Stress and worry and that anxiety for no particular reason can be killing you. Financial insecurity. If your money obsession is causing you to buy things that you don't need, giving money to friends that you don't have, or gambling too much, these habits can catch up with you eventually. More money obsession can lead to massive debt, which can cause a myriad of problems. If your life is just one missed paycheck away from financial ruin, you need to figure out how to bring yourself back from the brink. There are a lot of different ways to get over money obsession, but why? Why am I money obsessed? There are a variety of reasons. You could have had an experience in the past where money was a driving factor of some sort of trauma. If you are OC, or if you are if you have an obsessive compulsive disorder, that is one of the side effects is being obsessed about money. Or if you grew up in a poor situation, but you have more money now, but you're still spending it the way you did, that's money obsession. Now, I'm not saying that being frugal, so I'm going to give an example where this does not lie. My grandmother grew up in the Great Depression era. She was born right after the Great Depression, and her parents were never the wealthiest people. She grew up on the farm in Michigan. So even to this day, her nephew grows tomatoes. And so my grandma, she is a capable woman, despite her being in her 80s. She is a capable woman who has strength. She can walk around no problem. She cans her own tomatoes. The reason for that is not only are fresh tomatoes awesome for the things that she enjoys making. Being Polish, she likes to make a lot of pasta dishes and a lot of goulash and stuff like that. Not only is it better in the long run there, but it's why would you go and buy it if you can make it yourself? If you have the capability, or if you have the resources to make it yourself, or if you have somebody who can make it and you know the process of doing it, and you're okay with maybe taking a day or two away. She's retired. She doesn't really have to do much of anything else. That's different. She's not money obsessed. In other ways she is, but that's, a catch-22. You can be money obsessed with some things and not others. The first thing I do, if you want to get over your obsession with money, first thing, you need to understand that you have it, you need to address it to somebody, and you need to work your way to getting into that position that you need to. Number one, if you do not believe by any means necessary that you can do this yourself, please seek counseling. This is a compulsive behavior. So if you do excessive gambling, that's money obsession. If you have a strained relationship because of money, that's different. Reaching out to a professional is likely not only a great solution, but it might be your only solution. Fortunately, there are a lot of hotlines and resources that can help you get back on track. There really are. If you really go and search for it, you can find these. It's actually really cool. Best of all, you can research them online and get whatever you need to feel comfortable. Even talking to a friend or a spouse saying, I might have an issue here, addressing the problem is the first step of getting through it. In most cases, talking to somebody, they might have the solution that you need. Also, that's additional pressure that's lifted off of you to really kind of bring into reality of where you need to do, what you need to do, and where you can be over the next couple of months. And having somebody else to manage your finances is also a very good thing. If you keep that pressure off about your financial responsibility, obviously it's a great thing, because then you won't be impulsive. You won't worry about it because somebody else is looking at it. And then you can focus on how you can acquire more money. Or if that other person say, hey, I crunched the numbers, and in 6 months, if you make, X amount a month, you not only can live the way you are even now, but you can actually start chipping away at the debt that you have. It's always a positive. Obviously, this is my obvious thing. Please, trustworthy person. Please do not do this yourself or go online and find somebody. But my overall thing is, on this channel, we always talk about chakras. This is a chakra-heavy channel. And an obsession with money is a bad thing about your root chakra. So even going and balancing your root chakra is a solution about money obsession. So if you are spiritual, it could be good to consult a Reiki master about this situation. There are Reiki masters that are fairly inexpensive, and I do recommend it if you do need assistance to maybe even balance this out. If your worry and stuff is because of money, go to a Reiki master. So listening to grounding music or targeted yoga, eating good foods. Once again, it's about what's the good thing that you're putting into your body. And then you're going to realize that actually buying fresh is cheaper now than buying frozen and prepackaged. Meditate with certain crystals, or have certain scents around you, which are, once again, very inexpensive. Detach yourself from the worry and stress of modern society and practice earthing. Go out and go for a hike. Anything like that would really benefit you, even if you're obsessed about money. I really did hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Subscribe to this channel if you did enjoy this video and if you got anything out of it. And I want you to talk to somebody about, even if they have a money obsession, I want you, even if you're comfortable with it, go to somebody and let them know. Say, hey, maybe you have a money obsession, or I have a money obsession, I need help. Reach out to somebody. Show them that you care, because sometimes being obsessed about money is a disconnection. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like below, share it with your friends, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.